Hi, I'm Karen Rice and welcome to my watercolour YouTube channel. This tutorial or short video is all about using more information about Brusho, and these are highly pigmented watercolour crystals that are acid free, they're non-toxic, they're great for using with watercolour, especially for backgrounds. And I've got this tutorial as well as a forerunner for my longer tutorial tomorrow, where I'll be painting my, in quotes, sheep in winter, but it'll be sheep in spring. Spring is on its way, and I thought to celebrate we would paint another sheep painting, but this time using Brusho with a spring background. So I really hope you're going to enjoy that, and maybe it'll inspire you to paint along. If you don't have Brusho, don't worry, I will also have some alternatives for you. So shall we get started? Just to say, for a full list of all the materials I'll be using in this little demonstration, see the description below, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and you'll get updates of my latest tutorials. And if you have any comments or questions, please put them in the comments section below. Brusho are great for creating greeting cards and also for watercolour backgrounds. So first things first, I'm actually using some wax, a wax crayon, and I'm actually sort of painting an imaginary brick wall. I just thought I'd share this with you because it's really nice for resist as well, a wax resist with the wet medium. So I've actually drawn that on there. It's a bit tricky sometimes because obviously you haven't got a pencil drawing, but it's all loose stuff as well. So let's, just enjoy it. You can see already that where the wax has resisted. I'm using just ordinary watercolour paper and just watercolour paint, just dropping on some colours there, some pinks and yellows, just to get that sort of terracotta, sort of warm brick colour. I've added some violet. I'm painting wet in wet, and it's really nice sometimes to do this sort of thing in your sketchbooks just to loosen up. As you saw there, there's my Brusho. I usually sort of put a pin through the lid so it creates a small hole so you can actually release and shake the Brusho out. Keep the holes small, as you can see there. You don't want too much coming out because it's got a mind of its own. But you get these lovely coloured bursts. It's great for something like fireworks as well, but you can see how the pigment just explodes onto the wet surface there, creating some magical effects. But if you look at my Waterpot to the right, you can see a little bit that's got in there. So you've got to kind of be careful and not have, well, don't have your white linen sort of tablecloths around, because you don't want those little sort of particles getting anywhere. So while that's doing some magic there, I'm wetting the paper here on the left hand side, and I'm just doodling and just creating different things. I'm using some lemon Brusho, giving it a shake. Again, I've pierced a little hole in the top there, and I actually put these colourful drawing pins in so you can sort of identify the colours. You can see there I've got a green one there. So I've put some yellow on there. I've got some wax resist on there as well for some grasses. It's just to practice sort of grasses, and I'm going to be using this in my sheep tutorial tomorrow as well, so watch out for that. But I'm just sprinkling all these gorgeous colours. They're so yummy. Now, if you don't have Brusho, you can use watercolour pencils and an emery board or sandpaper. Rub the watercolour pencil against the sandpaper, the pigment falls off onto the wet surface. It's not as magical as the Brusho, but it does create some really lovely effects, and I will be showing that in the tutorial tomorrow as well. So I've spritzed that a little bit to get things moving, but the colours are very, very intense in Brusho and quite exciting. But again, just be careful where it's going. You're sort of, cleaning up and things like that. But I really like those colours. The yellow is really wonderful. It's created so much light. Now, here's my trusty Twig. I'm scratching out the dark paint, getting things happening. What's really nice about doing something like this, or if you're in your sketchbooks, is that you're just very relaxed. You're practicing using the medium rather than just saving it for the painting and then being a little bit fearful. Here you can practice. I'm piercing a hole in the top of this yellow ochre tub. I've pierced several holes actually, and I'm just going to put the colourful pin on top so it stops any Brusho getting out. So I'm going to mix up now a little bit of pink, and I'm going to paint a flower. It's going to be very, very loose. I'm just having a play and I really recommend it. bit of art therapy. I've drizzled a little bit of water in there as well, using my size 10 brush. Now here's the yellow ochre, and I'm sprinkling that onto the pink, and it creates that lovely warm colour. And I'm drawing with my twig the centre there, just to kind of give it a bit of detail, but it's just a little practice to see what happens, and maybe I may sort of paint a flower with this technique as well. So it's just trying things out. Sprinkle a little bit more Brusho on there, a little touch of black, and I've got 3 little holes there, and give that a spray and see what happens. I'm always waiting for a little bit of magic. So that's really sort of spread. This is quite nice maybe for the centre of a poppy, especially if you have things masked out as well. So I've just sprinkled a little bit of salt on there, and it's a big lump actually. And now I'm actually scratching in to the, to create some petals with my twig. So you can see this is real doodling, and there's something that I don't often show you. I've actually dipped my twig into the paint, the neat sort of pan paint, just to get some really creamy paint and just play. And so it's scratching in and using sort of paint on the tip of my twig there, and I can't tell you how much fun I'm having here. It's just so relaxing, it really is. Can't recommend it enough. And I'm going to give a little spray here now, so you can spritz your surface, and I'm going to sort of sprinkle on a little bit more of the yellow ochre and a touch of the black as well. The black has got so many different pigments in there. It's a delight to have. You can see red and brown, and obviously a very dark colour. And I kind of think it looks like almost like animal fur, you know, sort of, you know, those textures and things like that, the patterns on animal fur. So I'm sprinkling a little bit of pink now onto the surface of my flower, and look what's happened. That's after about 10 minutes. What's happened, it's dried off and it's created those intense marks. It's really, really interesting what it happens. It's something almost that you don't have any control of, and you're just waiting for some happy accidents, and I'm always waiting for those. I'm actually now just painting in the centre, and you can use the Brusho, which I did. I sprinkled it into my palette, then I added water, and it behaves just like how you would use watercolour. Then you just add it. I actually added a little bit of white here to my green, just to paint in the centre here. The centre's dry, just to give a little bit of detail. But already, I mean, I know this is just a doodle, but it's got potential here, you know, to create some really wonderful things with flowers and things like that. I'm thinking lilies with those marks on the lilies. So, you know, I'm quite excited. Now what I'm doing here, so obviously you can see the brickwork that was white, it's quite strong. What I thought I'd do is just draw on top again with the candle, and then put another layer on top. So you've got that sort of grey colour being resisted then. So it's quite nice. So I'm doing a little bit more there. And again, it's just experimenting. Actually, some of the Brusho hadn't dried off there. So it's something to watch out for when the little crystals haven't been diluted. You can still sort of activate them. But I'm just painting on this on here, and you can see now where the wax is resisted, and you can see that very pale, the pale grey underneath. I'm sprinkling a little bit more Brusho on top, some of the black again, because it's the darkest colour, really just to show you how you can really get these marks to stand out. And it's so effective, it really is. It's so much fun to do. You can use any white wax candle, birthday candle, anything like that. I'm just adding a little bit of pink and red now to the centre of the flower to create a bit of depth. It's watercolour. I just want to see how it behaves on top of the Brusho. It seems to work quite nicely, and it's really bringing out the centre of the flower as well. So I'm just sort of painting in a thin stem here and just dropping in some dark paint. And I'm just going to use my plastic card just to pull out all those little textured bits on the edge of the stem there. And I kind of think it is a poppy, or just that sort of like a poppy, an imaginary poppy. just mixing up a little bit of creamy sort of yellow and red and spattering it in the centre. And again, if you don't have Brusho for tomorrow, you can spatter to create some really nice effects as well. Adding a few more darks to these grass areas here, scratching out with my plastic card, creating lots of lovely texture, giving the surface a spray now with my spritzer bottle, and I'm sprinkling some yellow, so it's a lighter colour on top to add a bit more light, because it's quite an intense colour, which has worked really nicely. So you can see all of these sort of different techniques that you can use with Brusho. So I hope this little short video has inspired you and gets you prepared for tomorrow's tutorial. Remember, if you'd like to see more tutorials like this, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you again for watching. Happy painting. Bye for now.